Right now, there are a number of studies that were done around the world. There is some data that supports the idea that if you're type O blood, maybe that is in some way preventing you from getting the disease.
For over a century, scientists have puzzled over one of the most common and mysterious blood types on Earth, type O. Known for its universal compatibility in blood transfusions, it hides secrets that go far beyond the hospital.
The story of blood is convoluted because it's one of the most revolutionary features of our evolutionary history, eventually allowing nutrients and wastes to be carried around our bodies as we became more complex and more active.
Now, with the help of advanced AI, researchers have uncovered startling revelations about its origins, purpose, and hidden powers. What they found not only rewrites medical textbooks, it changes how we understand human evolution itself. So, what's the deal with blood types? Let's start with the basics, but don't worry, this won't feel like high school biology class all over again. Blood types are one of those things we all sort of know about. You've probably heard of A, B, AB, and O. Maybe you even know your own, but what do they actually mean? Why do they matter so much, especially in emergencies like blood transfusions or organ donations? Here's the short version. It all comes down to tiny markers called antigens that sit on the surface of your red blood cells. If your cells have A antigens, you're type A. If they have B antigens, you're type B. If they have both, you're AB. And if they have neither, congratulations, you're type O. Now here's where things get interesting. These antigens aren't just biological name tags. They play a huge role in how your body recognizes what's you and what's an invader. That's why getting the wrong blood type during a transfusion can be dangerous. Your immune system might go into attack mode, thinking those new cells are intruders. Type O, however, doesn't wave any of those antigen flags. That's why it's known as the universal donor. Its blood can safely be given to almost anyone. In emergencies, when there's no time to check someone's blood type, hospitals often reach for O-negative blood first. But here's the twist. While we understand how blood types work on a basic level, we've never fully understood why they evolved in the first place. Why are some types more common than others? Why does type O seem to show up more in certain parts of the world? And could there be hidden advantages or risks associated with each type? For years, those questions sat unanswered. The science just wasn't there yet, until now. The curious case of type O. Now, we know type O blood doesn't have A or B antigens. That alone makes it pretty special. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. Type O is the most common blood type in the world. And yet, it's also one of the most mysterious. Why? Let's start with the numbers. Across the globe, type O shows up a lot, especially in places like Central and South America, where it dominates. In some indigenous populations, nearly 100% of people are type O. In contrast, certain parts of Asia and Europe have a more even mix of A, B, and AB types. But no matter where you go, type O is never rare. That's not just a coincidence. Something's going on here. And scientists have been scratching their heads about it for decades. There are clues that type O blood might have given early humans an edge. Think about ancient times. No hospitals, no antibiotics, no clean water, just survival of the fittest. Some studies noticed that people with type O seem to have a slightly better resistance to certain infections, like malaria and some forms of severe bacterial diarrhea. Coincidence? Maybe. But it got researchers thinking, could type O have stuck around because it helped our ancestors survive tough conditions? On the flip side, it's not all perks. Type O individuals are also more likely to suffer from things like ulcers or complications from cholera. That's the thing about biology, it loves a good trade-off. For every advantage, there might be a hidden cost. Still, none of these findings ever fully explained the bigger picture. Why would a blood type with no antigens become the most dominant across so many populations? And how did it manage to spread so widely when A and B types clearly offer their own benefits? This is where science hit a wall. There were too many variables, too much genetic complexity, and not enough computing power to untangle the threads, until artificial intelligence entered the scene. So what exactly did scientists find once AI cracked open the code behind type O blood? Let's just say it went way beyond what anyone expected. Shocking scientific findings. First up, survival superpowers. Turns out, type O blood isn't just about compatibility. The AI analysis revealed that people with this blood type seem to carry genetic traits linked to ancient disease resistance. Specifically, they may have had a stronger defense against deadly pathogens, like certain viruses and parasites that wiped out large parts of early populations. And get this, the protective traits weren't limited to one part of the body. They showed up in the immune system, the gut, and even the brain. Yep, the brain. Here's where it gets wild. The AI uncovered subtle genetic differences in type O individuals that appear to affect brain inflammation and oxygen flow. While researchers aren't claiming this makes anyone smarter, there's growing evidence that people with type O blood may have lower risk factors for conditions like stroke and cognitive decline. The connection isn't fully understood yet, but it's enough to make neurologists pay attention. Then there's the gut microbiome, basically the ecosystem of bacteria living inside your digestive system. The AI linked type O blood to a specific balance of gut bacteria that's been associated with better metabolic health and possibly even longer lifespan. That's right, your blood type might be quietly shaping how your body processes food, fights off disease, and ages. But it's not all good news. As powerful as these adaptations might be, there's a flip side. The same traits that helped ancient humans survive could make modern humans more vulnerable to things like autoimmune disorders or ulcer-causing bacteria. In fact, the data confirmed what doctors have long suspected. People with type O blood are more prone to gastric ulcers and certain types of infections. In other words, evolution made a trade. You got a highly adaptable immune system that could take on ancient plagues, but it also left a few weak spots. And without AI, those patterns were nearly impossible to see clearly. One more curveball. The data hinted at a possible link between type O blood and physical endurance. Early humans with this type might have had slight advantages in stamina or cardiovascular recovery, traits that would have been super useful for migrating long distances, hunting, and surviving harsh climates. That could help explain why the O gene spread so widely, so fast. The takeaway? Type O blood isn't just universal donor material. It's a biological relic of our species' toughest battles, encoded with hard-won advantages and hidden vulnerabilities that still shape our lives today. What this means for modern medicine. What do you do with a discovery that connects your blood type to ancient survival traits? Brain health, and possibly how long you live. You start changing the way you treat people. That's what. Thanks to the breakthroughs uncovered by AI, type O blood is no longer just a label on a donation card. It's becoming a powerful biomarker, a clue doctors can use to better understand your personal health risks and strengths. And that's where the medical world is heading fast, toward personalized medicine, where your treatments are tailored to your unique biology, not just your symptoms. Smarter blood matching. First, let's talk about transfusions. Right now, hospitals rely on basic blood type matching, A, B, AB, O, plus the Rh factor, positive or negative. But the AI findings open the door to hyper-precise matching, looking not just at antigens, but at micro-level genetic compatibility. This could dramatically reduce reactions, especially in patients who need frequent transfusions, like those with sickle cell disease or leukemia. Customized preventive care. The link between type O and immune response could help doctors spot who's naturally more resilient and who might need extra protection. For example, people with other blood types might benefit more from certain vaccines or treatments if they're more vulnerable to specific pathogens. On the flip side, type O individuals might one day be screened earlier for gut-related conditions like ulcers or inflammatory disorders, since they carry a higher risk. Targeted drug development. Drug companies are already exploring how blood type might affect how people respond to medications. With this new data, we could see the rise of blood type-specific drugs, treatments designed to work better with certain genetic and immune profiles. It's still early, but the possibilities are huge. Long-term health monitoring. If type O blood is linked to slower cognitive decline, better metabolism, or endurance advantages, doctors could use that information in long-term care planning. Imagine yearly checkups where your blood type helps determine not just what tests you get, but when and how often. Even lifestyle recommendations, diet, exercise, sleep, could someday be tuned to your blood type's evolutionary strengths and weaknesses. Better emergency protocols. Since O-negative is already used in trauma settings as a universal donor, AI could help refine these systems even more, predicting which patients are likely to respond best to certain interventions based on their blood type and genetic markers. Bottom line, these discoveries could move us away from one-size-fits-all healthcare and toward a world where your body's story, written in your blood, guides the care you get. And type O? It's now at the center of that story. Ethical, social, and scientific impact. When AI starts uncovering hidden truths about something as personal as your blood, it quickly becomes more than just a medical breakthrough. It becomes a human story. The revelations about type O blood are not just exciting for scientists and doctors. They raise bigger questions about how we use this kind of information, who benefits from it, and how it could shape society going forward. On the bright side, this is a huge win for science. For decades, researchers could only go so far with the tools they had. Now, AI is opening doors that were once completely locked. The ability to scan millions of genetic profiles, spot patterns invisible to the human eye, and uncover biological secrets buried for thousands of years. That's nothing short of revolutionary. The type O breakthrough is just one example of what's possible when AI and human curiosity work together. But with all that power comes responsibility. The same technology that helped decode the evolutionary story of type O blood could also be used to build incredibly detailed genetic profiles of individuals. That raises big questions. Who owns this data? Who has access to it? And what happens if it falls into the wrong hands? As genetic data becomes more valuable, experts are calling for clear rules and strong protections to make sure it's used ethically and fairly. There's also a more uncomfortable possibility to consider: misuse or discrimination. When people start connecting blood types or genetic traits to things like intelligence, stamina, or disease resistance, there's always a risk someone will twist the science to fit their own bias. That's why it's so important to remember, these discoveries aren't about ranking people. They're about understanding the rich biological diversity that exists in all of us. Every blood type has its unique story, with its own advantages and challenges. One is not better than another. They're all part of the larger human puzzle. Perhaps the most meaningful impact of all is how this kind of discovery changes the way we see ourselves. Realizing that your blood carries traces of ancient survival strategies, that your body is shaped by the battles your ancestors fought against disease, famine, and harsh environments can be deeply personal. It turns something routine, like knowing your blood type, into a connection to a much bigger, older story. While AI may have solved the mystery of type O blood in scientific terms, it also opens a much wider conversation, one about ethics, identity, and what it means to understand ourselves not just as individuals, but as part of a much larger human journey. Why the world needs type O blood more than ever. Blood is one of those things we don't think about much until we need it. And when it comes to saving lives, type O blood is a real hero. Often called the universal donor, type O can be given to almost anyone, which makes it absolutely crucial in emergencies, surgeries, and treating chronic illnesses around the world. But the demand for type O blood isn't just about hospitals needing it. It's a complex global challenge. And recent discoveries powered by AI are helping us understand that better than ever. Imagine a car accident victim rushed into the ER. There's no time to check their blood type. That's when type O blood becomes a literal lifesaver. Because it doesn't have A or B antigens, it can be safely given to pretty much anyone in a pinch. This makes it the go-to blood type in emergencies and trauma cases worldwide. But here's the catch. Hospitals always need a steady supply, and it's often in short supply. Blood banks work tirelessly to collect and store type O donations, but it's a tricky balancing act. Blood can only be stored for a few weeks, and the demand is constant. So keeping enough type O blood ready for the next emergency is a non-stop challenge. What makes this even more interesting is that blood types aren't spread evenly across the globe. Some populations have a lot of type O donors, think many indigenous communities in the Americas, while other regions, like parts of Asia and the Middle East, have fewer type O donors and more of other types like A or B. This uneven distribution creates real problems. In places where type O donors are rare, finding compatible blood for patients can be tough, especially for people who need frequent transfusions. Meanwhile, places with lots of type O donors still struggle because so many people rely on that blood type in emergencies. It's like trying to fill a bucket with holes. No matter how much you pour in, the demand keeps draining it out. And it's not just about where people live. As the global population grows and ages, the need for blood keeps climbing. Older adults often need more medical procedures, and many of those procedures require safe blood transfusions. But younger people today tend to donate less often, creating a supply gap. That means hospitals are under pressure to find more type O donors, not just more people donating, but the right donors. Since type O blood is in such high demand, it's critical to keep those donation levels up, or risk shortages that could cost lives. Here's something you might not know. Not all type O blood is exactly the same. Different populations have subtle genetic differences that affect how well blood works for certain patients, especially those with rare conditions or who need lots of transfusions. So having a wide range of donors, people from all different backgrounds, is super important. Thanks to AI and genetic research, doctors can now better understand these differences. This helps blood banks focus on recruiting diverse donors, making sure everyone can get the blood they need, no matter their background. It's a big step toward fairness in healthcare. How AI is changing the blood game. This is where AI really shines, not just uncovering cool science about type O blood, but helping manage it better. AI can crunch mountains of data to spot patterns in who needs blood, when, and where. It can predict shortages before they happen and help hospitals plan smarter. Even better, AI is helping doctors go beyond just matching basic blood types. By looking at tiny genetic details, they can find better matches for patients who get transfusions often, cutting down on complications and making treatment safer. This kind of precision medicine could save a lot of time, money, and suffering. The AI findings about type O blood also have big implications outside transfusions, because type O blood seems to influence how people's immune systems work and how vulnerable they are to certain diseases. Knowing where type O populations are concentrated can help public health officials make smarter decisions. For example, if a region has lots of type O individuals who are more prone to certain infections, vaccines and treatments can be tailored accordingly. In today's world, with pandemics, natural disasters, and conflicts popping up, having a reliable blood supply is more important than ever. Type O blood is at the center of emergency response, and being able to quickly get it where it's needed can save countless lives. But no one country or hospital can do this alone. Sharing resources, data, and expertise across borders is essential. The new AI insights into type O blood aren't just academic. They're tools to help build a stronger, smarter global blood system. One of the coolest things on the horizon is lab-grown or synthetic blood. Imagine never worrying about donor shortages again, because we can create safe, universal blood in a lab. AI's deep dive into what makes type O blood so special is helping scientists figure out exactly how to mimic it. While this technology is still developing, it promises a future where blood supply challenges might become a thing of the past. When you put it all together, type O blood isn't just a letter on a bag in the hospital. It's a vital, life-saving resource that the world depends on every day. Thanks to the power of AI, we're learning how to better manage this resource, understand its unique biology, and prepare for a future where blood shortages might be solved by science and technology. The need for type O blood is global, complex, and urgent, and the new discoveries about it are helping us rise to the challenge. Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe for more content like this.